Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and we are continuing to explore my bookshelves. Today, I want to talk about Ray Bradbury again. A very short story he wrote, and then my thoughts on Dandelion Wine. First of all, I've been reading stories in this collection, Dark Carnival. It's a reprint of his very first publication, full of stories that from his younger writing period that are creepy, dark, and spooky. All those good things. The one I read this month was very short. It was 2 pages, and it was called The Maiden. It was almost like flash fiction. And so if you're reading along, this will take you a couple of minutes, and you might even be able to find it online. I really struggled to know what the story was even about, to be honest. And I asked Mitzi to read it, and we were able to talk about it a little bit, and I think that helped me understanding the point here. But it's really a snapshot about a husband and his wife. So the opening paragraph says this, that she was wondrous fair. She filled his eyes, and he looked at her continually and was in love with her. Tall she was and beautiful, with the morning sun on her. Tall she was and stately of limb, and she worked for him. He knew her every whim, he did, and he stroked her and made love to her, but stayed out of her reach. He knew what she could do to men she loved too well. Not today, he thought. You'll not have me today, maiden fair, maiden strong, maiden quick, and maiden fatale. And then it kind of goes on talking about how he would let the children play with her, wondered about like previous lovers, things like that. And then at night he goes upstairs to see her. And I guess I should say just spoilers for this story. So you might want to skip ahead if you don't want to know. So it talks about how he went upstairs and placed his weary head upon her and all that. You're expecting nothing, and then it says, then he tripped the trigger. Her long blue razor sharp blade, weighing 100 pounds, sliced down along the oiled grooves of the drop, straight at his throat. Bam! Through, chopping off light, sound, odor, feeling his head popped into the waiting wicker. A sexual spout of red blood jutted from his sundered neck, and the two of them, he and she of the blade, lay together in that scarlet orgasm, even as the first star appeared. And that's it. I'm like, what in the world is going on in this story? So maybe a good story to read for Garb August. It's bloody, it's gory, it has some um, like sexual undertones that Bradbury doesn't really write about. And I was left wondering, well, what just happened? And I think, and Mitzi and I talked about this, as I said, and I think what happened is that Bradbury's telling the story how the man is in love with his wife, and she's this beautiful creature, and yet there's a deadly side to her. And if you treat her the wrong way or rub her the wrong way, then bam, she cuts your head off. Maybe it doesn't say a lot of good things about women in that story. I don't know. I'm not sure if how Bradbury's view on women colored that story, or if he was just experimenting with something, or maybe he and his wife had an argument and he just wanted to deal with it in the way that authors sometimes deal with things. I have no idea. So let me encourage you, let me read the story. Let me know what you think. Today, I don't even know if the story would be written today, but I think what I take away from that story is anybody, whether it's man or woman, their temper can be like that. Like if you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and then suddenly, bam, they attack you, and it's a big mess that you've made. So I don't know. Not a whole lot of thoughts to say on that story. It was a pretty short one, like I said, but it was one I've never read before, and so I was really excited to get to read that. The story after that is called The Tombstone. So I'll read that in September, and then we'll make a video on that, hopefully sometime in September. So that's that story. And I was actually going to do two short stories this video, but I decided to instead talk about Dandelion Wine. I'm doing a buddy read with Mitzi from Mitzi's Reads and Writes, and time of filming, I'm about halfway through, but by the time this video gets posted, I'll have been done with it. And we have really enjoyed this. This is Mitzi's first time reading it. This is probably my third or fourth time, but I haven't read it in a long, long time. I first read it as a teenager, thought it was okay. I enjoyed, the perspective of being a child. I was really a teen, so I wasn't that far removed from the main character, Douglas. I guess I should say the story is about it's just fiction. It's not like horror or mystery or science fiction or anything, but it tells the story of Douglas Spalding in his summer where he's growing up. Early in the story, he comes to this realization that he's alive, and he begins to experience different changes and different steps of growth during that summer of being 12 years old. And I believe Bradbury took kind of like the Martian Chronicles, where he took short stories and wove them together into telling an overall story. I the way this book deals with themes like things change, the things of growing older, the themes of change is inevitable, are really emotional and really well written. I was excited to read this book now as an older parent. I'm in my 40s. I feel like the last time I read it, I was in my 20s. So it's been a long time. Reading it now in my middle age, as I think I said in a previous video, I'm kind of over that hump of 45, and realizing that now, my I don't want to sound depressing, but my decline into the grave is coming sooner rather than later. And that's fine. I mean, that's life. And I'm pretty sure heaven is going to be a giant library that I can spend eternity reading. Between the times I'm playing my harp, and all that. But anyway, my bad theology aside, this book is really just profound thoughts on aging. There's a couple stories in it that bring that up, and one is there's a story of an elderly woman who was trying to convince some of the young girls in her town that she was a young lady before, and that she used to be a child, and they didn't believe her. And so she had pictures and artifacts and things of her past that the little girls were like, no, you stole that from somebody. Old people were never young. And that's their perspective. But in that story, it's revealed that she really has a hard time with letting go of the past. And her husband had passed. And one of the things he told her, is that you are not accepting who you are now. And that's something she comes to terms with and realizes that I'm aging and that's okay. And I need to let go of those things that I've been holding on to and not behave as a child, but, behave as who I am. And I think that's really a profound thought. And I'll be interested to know what I think of it, in another 20 or 30 years. Because I know elderly men and women who, one man especially likes to talk about, the good old days. But, he said, inside I still feel like I'm a teenager until I go and try to do something I did as a teenager. He likes to work on his farm, but he said, I'll go and try to bend over and pick something up, and I'll either fall down or hurt myself, and it's not good because I can't get my head around the fact that I'm old. And, this man's in his 80s. So even the fact that he can get up and do something is remarkable, I think. But, coming to realize that, hey, I've aged and it's okay. It's natural. It's healthy to acknowledge that. And maybe we can let go of some of those things from the past and not let it weigh us down, so that we can spend our glory years, our final years, surrounded by joyful things and grown children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, if you're so blessed, and enjoy those moments with them. And then on the opposite end of that, there's a story about an old man in town who the kids called the Time Machine. And, they will come to him and they'll hear stories that he tells of the Civil War and different eras like that he lived through. And in a sense, becoming that time machine for the boys in town, that he takes them back into the past. And so I liked that, what Bradbury had to say there about aging as well, that it's a way that we can encounter the past and learn its lessons without actually having a real legitimate time machine, which I'm told is impossible. Another one that was good, and this I know was a short story of Bradbury's. It's called The Happiness Machine. And a man in town wants to try to figure out what makes people happy, put it in a machine, and then people can come and experience it and be happy. And his wife is warning him about doing it. Says, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't make that. And but he does. and his son gets into it one night and comes out just sobbing because whatever it was he saw, it ended. And so his wife gets upset and she goes into the machine and she sees Paris and all this, and she comes out just grieving. And he says, well, why are you upset? This doesn't Paris make you happy? And she said something along the lines of that, yes, I knew Paris existed, but I didn't know what I was missing, kind of thing. But then when she saw, it's kind of a metaphor what Bradbury does with this, but she gets in the machine and she sees Paris, and now she realizes what she was missing, and it's made her sad. I thought, and Mitzi shared this as well, about how fascinating that is, or that Bradbury was essentially talking about the impacts that social media can have on a person, that we see things of perfection and we suddenly desire something we didn't know we had. I had read something also recently that talked about how commercials and ads aimed at children kind of tap into that, get them to long and want something that they don't have and didn't know they needed until they saw the commercial. And social media can have that impact on us. And I'm not one to be critical of Booktube. I think at least the people I follow handle Booktube very appropriately, but there's a level of that too, that, oh, I need to read that book and that book and that book and this book. And I feel like I'm missing out on all these books. And then suddenly you're so busy trying to chase everything you don't have that it's not fun anymore. And I've seen that happen with different channels and the hosts, realizing that and taking a step back and re-evaluating and all those things. And I think that's good. But be careful. These books I don't share to try to make you, jealous or feel like you're missing out on something. I just want to celebrate good books that we enjoy reading. And there are books that are mentioned a lot that I just know. I'm not gonna miss that at all if I don't read it. Did I get off topic? I think I did a little bit. So I'm trying to bring back to that topic of what makes us happy. The end of the story, mild spoilers for that chapter here. End of the story of the happiness machine, the man realizes the things that really make him happy are the people in his life. So it turns out that the real happiness machine are the friends that we've made along the way. Okay. A little bit of a cliche now, but I think that was a really profound ending. And as a father, and as a husband, that really struck a chord in me, to realize that, I can have all these things. I can go on all these vacations. I can have all this stuff. I can look handsome and beautiful and all that. But the thing that brings real joy are the people in my life, whether it's my actual family or my friends or my found family, whoever you identify as being your family, your people. Those are the ones that can bring genuine happiness. Again, I'm only about halfway through Dandelion Wine, but this has been the best reading experience this time through. And I think part of that is sharing the joy of reading it with you, Mitzi. Thank you so much for reading along with me, but also just now as an older man looking back on my life and tapping into the nostalgia that Bradbury writes in this book. It's really having a powerful impact on me. And I think I told Mitzi this. This is why I like to reread. Unless I said that in this video, I might have. But getting to reread this and dig deeper into it, to read the things I've missed in the past, good stuff. All right, so that'll be it for my Bradbury short story club thing that I'm doing. Next month or next time, I'll be talking about the short story The Tombstone. I don't know if I know that story either, so that might be a new one for me, which if so, I'm excited to read it. Can't wait to get to it. So let me know if you've read any Bradbury. If you'd like some help knowing where to start with Ray Bradbury, I'd be happy to give you some guidance on that. So that'll do it for today. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're getting close to 750 subscribers, so that would really help me out if you could do that, if you like the content I'm putting out. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll have some more podcast episodes out, interviews with some authors, as well as some other chatty book-related videos. All right, until next time, take care and happy reading.